Okay, well, firstly, thanks. It's really nice to be here today. And in my little over a year as part of a project, I've emailed most of you and seen many of you in webinars. And hopefully now I can actually speak to you at some point in the next few days. We're about halfway through the project, and I think it's a nice time to evaluate where we are in terms of data management, what we're doing really well, and what we could perhaps improve. And we'll talk about how we can do that. But first, I'd like to talk about NERD and SIOS, because I get so many emails asking about what they are and what they should be used for. But they offer very important services, and hopefully if we can make it clear, then we can utilize them better for the project. So NERD is the National Infrastructure for Research Data. And you can think of this as somewhere where you can, a common area where you can store and share unpublished data. The advantage of using this is that you can access data anywhere from any institution. You can just log in with your login credentials, and so you can securely back up your data and work on the same files as someone else who is somewhere different to you in the world. And this is really supposed to promote collaboration within the project. On NERD, you can find all the onboard data from the onboard instrumentation. That includes all the raw data and also some processed salinity and temperature data from the CTDs. We should also be including all of the rest of our data on NERD. Over the past 6 months or so, we've had an improvement in this, and thanks to everyone who started sharing their data there. We could be doing a little bit better in terms of this. It might help to know that when you're sharing data on NERD, it doesn't have to be perfect. We accept any file types. The data doesn't even have to be complete. You can just, as I said, think of this as a shared work area where you can collectively work on your data. And as long as you keep a README in your folder that you set up, someone can contact you and discuss whether you can work on the data together. We have several terabytes of storage space, which should be plenty for most of you, but some of you are working on particularly large data sets, and if so, just let us know. If we have a mandate to do so, we can ask for an extension to the quota that we have. And it's also worth noting that this is only for unpublished data. The priority should be publishing our data, and if it's done so, everyone in the project can already access the data as well as the rest of the world. The data can be removed from there. We also have SIOS. This provides they provide a few different services for the project. Firstly, you can find the metadata catalog hosted here. So this is a collection of all the sample logs that you have helped record over the past cruises. This provides an overview of all the data that we've recorded in the project, and this has been a really big success. I presented this at a few different conferences, and people are always impressed about how good the uptake has been across the project, so thanks all for that. You can search by using typing in your event ID in the top left, or you can search by different fields like the station name or the cruise name, or perhaps find the PI associated with the data. NERD also hosts a data access portal. So this is not just for the project, but for all the data collected in and around Svalbard. It's worth noting that SIOS is not a data center. It doesn't store any of the data itself. It provides a link to where the data are in the different data centers. And this is really useful. Usually when you publish a data set in a data center, someone can only find them if they know where they're looking for them. So perhaps you've published a paper and you refer to the data set, or someone happens to be browsing through the data center. But there's lots of different data centers. And if you don't know where the data are, you won't find them. So a data access portal is a way of accessing all the data from a single place. It looks like this. You can search using different keywords to find similar data quite easily, from different projects from just a few clicks of a button. Then we have a collection tag up there in the top left, AEN for all the data collected from the project. In the project, we're promoting the publication of their data. Usually when you submit an article now, you have to publish your data in a data center somewhere. So as a community, we're quite good at making data findable and accessible. What we're less good at is making data interoperable, which means it should be commonly understood by different softwares and systems with minimal manual intervention, and it should be reusable too. And this is much easier if you use certain file types like physical data, NetCDF, with CF conventions, and for biodiversity data, Darwin Core Archive. These are self-containing file types, which mean they include metadata that describes the data, and there are standards that say exactly how that data should be structured, and what the different terms should be used for different types of data and different metadata. So in theory, someone who's nothing to do with the data can pick the data up and use them. There are many benefits of publishing their data. It's transparency of your research. It can be reused, and so as a community, we can progress faster faster. But I speak to scientists every day, and I think more or less people know this and agree that this is the way that we should be working. But the reality is somewhat different to this. So I think a much more interesting question is to ask, why hasn't more data been published? And I think I fielded this question to several of you who attended my last webinar and got some really important feedback, and we'll be considering and addressing all of that. But there are two themes that keep coming up, and that's that you're all very busy people. You have deadlines that can't be shifted, and publishing data can always wait till another day. And there's a learning curve, particularly when it comes to publishing their data. So we hope that by simplifying the publication process for you, we can reduce the amount of time it takes and how much effort you have to put in. So to help with this, I'm working on a step-by-step guide, which will walk you through each stage in the publication workflow. Examples with data tailored to our project. We run webinars, and there'll be more of these coming in the future. We're also considering running some workshops. These might be physical workshops where you can bring your data along, perhaps, and work on publishing it with our assistants. You can always contact me. I'm employed to help you, so if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. And you can also contact the staff at the data centers. It's in their interest too for you to publish your data with them, so they'll be happy to help. Many of them are associated with the project, and they're here today too. But it's also worth noting that you're not starting from scratch when you're logging your data, when you're publishing your data. Many of you have used the template generator and the sample logs. So you've already logged some metadata in a standardized way, and this should make it a lot easier when it comes to publishing the data. So I'm working on some tools where it should be possible to retrieve the data from the metadata catalogs. This metadata has been corrected somewhat whenever there's any filtered to filter out any filter out any errors that have been made and ensure consistency across the project. And you should be able to retrieve the most up-to-date version of that. Template generator is based on Darwin Core. That's great if you are thinking of publishing Darwin Core archives, because most of the metadata is either already been logged and should already comply with the standards that are required. It should also then therefore be possible to automatically or semi-automatically generate certain aspects of a Darwin Core archive for you, and I'm working on a tool to do that. But in the meantime, before that's in production, just get in touch with me and I can help you out. If you're not working with Darwin Core, there are benefits for whatever kind of data you are working with, in that you have already made some effort to standardize your data, and many of the requirements for the CF conventions are, or the ACDD attributes, is that the metadata is somewhat covered in what you are required to provide. You, in any case, need to provide time that's UTC timestamp, and you need to provide coordinates are in decimal latitude and longitude. You've already done all this. You're not starting from scratch. And I'll just leave you with this. You might have found seen a couple of posters like this dotted around the hallway outside. I'd love your feedback and to find out exactly what we can do and what we can provide that's going to be most useful for you. I'd like to know what sessions we can run which you're going to get the most out of and what you're most likely to attend. This is a huge screen. I've stood at the back, and this should work if you have a QR code reader on your phone. So, and if you don't know how to use that, I sent an email just before the session started too. So I'll leave you that, and I can take any questions if you have a few minutes. We do? Yeah, thank you.